Hey, welcome back. And today we're doing a May June 2021 Cape Economic Unit 1 Paper 2. Let's get into it. Module 1A, define its own production possibility frontier and state how it illustrates the concept of scarcity. The production possibility frontier PPF is a graphical representation illustrating the maximum attainable combinations of two goods or services an economy can produce given its resources and technology at a specific time. It showcases the trade-offs inherent in choosing different combinations of goods or services. The PPF typically demonstrates opportunity cost producing one good over another, highlighting the concept of scarcity. As resources are limited, the economy must decide what to prioritize. Part B, APB Motors is a car rental company. The following table shows the company's data points from its operation. We have the rental fee on the left side, and then we have the number of cars rented on the right hand side. They want us to calculate the price elasticity of demand when the rental fee increases from 1,250 to 1,400. We just need to keep in mind that the PD, price elasticity of demand formally, is the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. Therefore, the change in quantity demanded can be calculated as 55 minus 78 divided by 78, which is equal to negative 0.2948, indicating a decrease of approximately 29.48%. Simultaneously, the change in price is 1,400 minus 1,250 divided by 1,250, which gives us an answer of 0.12, which represents an increase of 12%. Now, applying these values to the PED formula gives us an answer of negative 2.457. Based on the price elasticity of demand calculated in BI, suggests with reasons whether the owners of APB Motors should increase or decrease their rental fee. Therefore, based on this elasticity, the owners of APB Motors should exercise caution in increasing the rental fee, as an increase from 1,250 to 1,400 led to a decrease in number of cars rented. Further raising the price might intensify this demand reduction, potentially impacting revenue negatively. Instead, they might consider strategies such as incremental price adjustments, offering additional value-added services, justify a higher fee, or exploring cost-effective measures to maintain revenue without solely relying on price hikes. Part C, the following table shows the market schedule for a given good. With the aid of a fully labeled diagram, analyze the impact of a price flow of 700 on this market. Any response include a definition of the term price flow. This is a diagram, guys. We have the y-axis, which is a vertical axis. The vertical line has price. On the horizontal axis or the x-axis, it has the quantity. We know that the demand curve is always downward sloping. Then we have the supply curve. We have market equilibrium at this point, and then we have these 2 points highlighting the surplus in the market. But let's get to the question. A price floor is a government or regulatory imposed limit set above the market equilibrium price to protect producers by ensuring they receive a minimum price for their goods or services. Upon implementing the price floor at 700, the market experiences a situation where the price is higher than the equilibrium price. At this new price floor, the quantity supplied increases to 19,000 units, while the quantity demanded decreases to 11,000 units. This change results in a surplus of 8,000 units at the price flow level. Graphically, this situation is depicted as a horizontal line drawn at the 700 mark, intersecting the supply and demand curves. This surplus results from the mismatch between the quantity supplied at the higher price flow and the reduced quantity demanded by consumers at that elevated price. This surplus inventory resulting in unsold goods due to the lower demand at the higher price can lead to various problems for suppliers, including increased storage costs, the need for potential price reductions to clear excess inventory, or even a loss of revenue. Also, this surplus contributes to an economic inefficiency known as deadwood loss. Deadwood loss occurs when the quantity of goods traded in a market falls below the efficient level that would exist at the equilibrium price. In this case, deadwood loss arises from the foregone transactions that would have occurred at the equilibrium price of 600 but did not happen due to the artificially elevated price flow of 700. Module 2 to define into the following terms: economic loss. Economic loss occurs when the total cost of producing goods or services exceeds the total revenue generated from selling those goods or services. In business terms, it's a situation where a business experiences negative profitability. Abnormal profits. Abnormal profit, also known as supernormal or economic profit, is a surplus revenue a firm earns above the opportunity costs of the resources employed in production. In business terms, it represents a profit exceeding what is required to maintain a business's current operation and competitive state. Part B, distinguish between private benefits and external benefits. Private benefits refers to the advantages or gains an individual or entity directly experiences or receives due to actions or decisions. These include consumers enjoying the utility or satisfaction of a purchased good or a company profiting from a new investment. On the other hand, external benefits, also known as externalities, are the positive spillover effects or advantages that extend beyond the immediate participants in a transaction or activity. These benefits are enjoyed by third parties or the broader society, often without any direct compensation or involvement in the original activity. Parts 2 explain what is meant by the term merit good and state an example of a merit good. A merit good refers to a product or service considered beneficial for individuals or society, often beyond the individual's recognition or initial desire. These goods possess qualities that generate positive externalities, benefiting both the consumer and society as a whole through their consumption. Merit goods are typically underconsumed in a free market because individuals might undervalue their benefits or be unable to afford them, despite the overall positive impact on well-being. An example of a merit good is education. Access to education not only enhances an individual's skills and opportunities, but also contributes to societal progress, economic growth, and reduced inequality. Part C, consider the following excerpt. Now we have to discuss how Caribbean governments could use each of the following measures to control the externalities arising from overfishing. We have legislation, taxation, and quotas. Firstly, the legislation stands as a fundamental pillar in managing fisheries sustainably. Enactment of laws that mandate responsible fishing practices is imperative. Such regulations might encompass defining catch limits based on scientific assessments of fish stocks, delineating fishing seasons to allow for punishment, and establishing protected marine areas to preserve crucial habitats. These laws aim to prevent overfishing and discourage destructive practices like bottom trawling, which can devastate ecosystems. Furthermore, penalties and enforcement mechanisms are crucial in preventing illegal fishing activities that lead to overexploitation. Secondly, taxation serves as an economic tool to discourage unsustainable fishing practices. Governments can levy taxes on various facets of the fishing industry, such as fishing gear, license catches that surpass substantial sustainable limits. By increasing the cost of engaging in harmful practices, taxation incentivizes fishermen to adhere to sustainable methods. The revenue generated from these taxes can fund conservation efforts, scientific research on sustainable fishing techniques, or assistance for affected communities in transitioning to more sustainable livelihoods. Finally, quotas. Another critical measure involves setting specific limits on the quantity of fish that fishermen can harvest within a given time period. Typically, these quotas rely on scientific assessments of fish population and ecological capacity. Governments can allocate quotas to individual fishermen or fishing entities, ensuring that the total catch remains within sustainable levels. Moreover, tradable quotas can promote efficiency within the fishing industry. Fishermen operating below their quotas could sell the excess allowances to those, I should say, nearing their limits, fostering a more balanced and sustainable approach to fishing. Module 3 defines the following terms: marginal physical product. Marginal physical product refers to the additional output or product generated by employing one more unit of a specific input while keeping other inputs constant. Marginal revenue product. The term pertains to the revenue gained by incorporating an extra input, like labor or capital, into the production process while holding other inputs constant. Part B explains how each of the fund could impact the pricing of labor or wages. Minimum wages. When the government sets a minimum wage to establish a floor below which employers cannot legally pay their workers, this action directly impacts labor costs by setting a baseline for employment expenses. If the minimum wage increases, it elevates the overall wage structure. Employers may adjust their pay scales upwards to maintain wage differentials or ensure their workers earn above the legally mandated minimum. This adjustment can trigger a chain reaction, potentially leading to higher wages for higher paid employees. However, it might also lead to reduced hiring or potential job losses as employers could find it costlier to employ a larger workforce at the increased wage rates. Industrial action, strikes, slowdowns, or other industrial actions can significantly impact labor costs. Collective protest or labor withholding by employees significantly disrupt normal business operations and can substantially impact labor costs. This disruption can force employers to consider wage rates or other employment conditions to resolve the conflict. If the labor action results in concessions from the employer, such as increased wages or improved working conditions, it directly influences labor costs by pushing wages higher. Conversely, prolonged or severe disruptions could strain businesses financially, potentially leading to wage freezes or even job cuts to mitigate the impact. Then we have collective bargaining. Collective bargaining involves negotiations between employers, labor unions, or worker representatives to determine wages and other employment conditions. Through collective bargaining, employees can negotiate for higher wages or better benefits. They do so collectively rather than individually. This process can significantly influence labor costs by allowing workers to leverage their collective strength to secure more favorable terms. Successful collective bargaining agreements often result in increased wages or improved working conditions for the workforce. However, these negotiations can also lead to increased costs for employers, affecting their ability to hire additional staff or invest elsewhere. Part C, we need to discuss how each of the following factors could affect the economic costs of poverty: unemployed human resources, inefficiency of government spending, and environmental degradation. Firstly, poverty often leads to a surplus of unemployed individuals due to various factors like lack of education, skills mismatch, or limited job opportunities. This surplus workforce represents an untapped potential for economic growth. When individuals remain unemployed, there's a loss of productivity within the economy. It means underutilized skills and talents that could otherwise contribute to producing goods and services, hindering overall economic development. The strain on social welfare systems, including unemployment benefits and other support mechanisms, adds to the burden. Also, unemployment diminishes tax revenues since fewer people contribute to the tax base. This reduction in revenue affects the government's capacity to invest in crucial sectors such as education and infrastructure, which are essential for breaking the cycle of relative and absolute deprivation. Secondly, in impoverished areas, government spending might not effectively target the root causes of deprivation. Resources misallocate might be misallocated due to corruption, bureaucratic inefficiencies, or a lack of proper planning. For instance, funds designated for education and healthcare might not reach the intended beneficiaries, leading to inadequate facilities or poor quality services. When resources are not channeled effectively into poverty alleviation programs like skill development, education, and healthcare, the cycle of deprivation continues. Also, mismanagement of funds fails to alleviate impoverishment and erodes public trust in government institutions, further hindering progress. Finally, financial distress and environmental degradation often form a vicious cycle. Impoverished communities may result in unsustainable practices like deforestation, overfishing, or reliance on polluted industries for immediate economic gains. However, these activities lead to long-term environmental damage, affecting public health, agricultural productivity, and biodiversity. The economic costs associated with environmental degradation are substantial. Health expenses rise due to pollution-related illnesses, agricultural yields decrease because of soil degradation, and industries reliant on natural resources suffer losses. Furthermore, the need for environmental remediation efforts diverts funds away from poverty alleviation initiatives, perpetuating the cycle of poverty. And that is it, guys. See you all next time.